Hello, everybody. Welcome to the new year, actually. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you did enjoy your holiday. Today, I have Katie and Caroline. Hello, how are you?
Hi, very well, thanks.
Hello. Yeah, very well, thank you, Beverley. Very well.
Okay, that's great. So, the subject of today is grounding. How to be, why it's important to be grounded. So, I will say for me, grounded is actually it helps stabilize your energy. It also helps you calm down when you are stressed and everything, and it helps also reduce the excess of energy that you have. I know it helps also for you to concentrate, to focus, and probably have a new idea, open mind. That's about, for me, that's a little bit about that. What about you, Katie?
Grounding for me just generally makes me feel a lot calmer, a lot more connected with Earth. I'm a healer and a body worker, and the last time I gave a treatment with shoes on was about 21 years ago in my final exam. And ever since then, I have not worn shoes at all. I can't give a massage or chiropractic or any kind of, or certainly teach yoga with shoes on. I just feel like I need that connection with the earth. And I even moved into a bungalow because I felt like I wanted to be on the ground and sleep on the ground. So I just feel better, like literally, like the word says, like grounded and less stressed, and yeah, any kind of call for nature where I can be outside and connect, just really sort of suits my soul. And I feel like I know when I need to do that, whether hold a crystal or, you know, an Epsom salt bath, anything to sort of maybe discharge too much positive charge that might build up from EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, or things like that.
Okay. Oh, that's great. And for you, Caroline?
For me, grounding in a way is a spiritual practice, a bit like meditation. If I'm out in nature, and for me, that's going barefoot and also gardening, but that connection with nature, as Katie says, to discharge too much positive energy that comes through, it does calm you down. But in that silence I get from grounding, which for me quite often is walking barefoot, that connection with earth brings spiritual messages through. If I'm out in nature and I'm grounded, I seem to be able to communicate with earth and communicate with spirit as a sort of conduit from the light above to the light in inner earth. And that connectivity enables me to connect and get messages from spirit. So for me, grounding is a very spiritual practice, and I'm sure a lot of people find that. And I think in a way, as Katie says, that's why we feel so calm when we're doing it, because we're just connected to who we truly are. It is a part of our soul in many ways, being connected back to the circuits that Mother Earth can give to us.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
definitely.
Yeah. Yes, definitely, absolutely. Yes, and I will say the method that I use, and I'm sure a lot of people do that, is walking barefoot.
Yes.
To really be grounded. And sometimes I just like to go outside and stand still, just, stand still and just breathe, because that's really important. What I like also is just embrace the tree. But when you do that, you receive also the energy of the tree. And when I do the stand still, actually it's like I receive the energy from above and it go down to earth. It's really important to, when your feet is on actually on the ground, is like to imagine, to visualize like you are one. Actually, you have like branch of the tree, like a tree. Actually, you can be like, yeah, you can visualize yourself like a tree, and all the cells going in the ground. And so, because in the ground you receive also the electron that can give you some energies that I saw. So that's what I do. And I have to go back to that. I used to do Qigong. Also, the Qigong is like slow motion, slow energy that, circulated, and it helps you meditate at the same time. So meditation also is part of grounding. What else I do? Dancing. Oh, can you see me?
Yes, you're still there.
Oh, okay. I don't see you. I don't see you.
No, you've disappeared now. I can't see you now. Oh, you're back.
Yeah, but I cannot see you. You both.
Oh, I can see all of us. So
I can see everyone.
Okay. So probably it's just the technical issue.
It could just be.
But yeah. So yes. So I like also dancing because it helped me. After that, I sit down and for some reason I receive some creativity. I have new ideas and everything. So that's what I do about grounding. What about you?
Katie, do you want to answer first?
Sure. Well, I teach yoga and I've practiced yoga for about 23 years. So that for me is a very grounding practice. Like you just mentioned with the dancing and Qigong, anything that's moving and a mindful movement is going to be grounding because we're in a sort of a meditative state. We're focusing on our breath. We're maybe timing movement with breath. We're coming out of our minds and into our bodies. Even sort of breathing that little bit deeper is going to release a lot of carbon dioxide, which is going to be a sort of quite alkalizing on our bodies and on our minds. And if we're not sort of focusing on, oh, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, I've got to be there, I've got to be there, that can be quite acidic thoughts because we might be in worry or thinking about the future or worrying about the past. So it's about being present. And if you're dancing or Qigong, yoga, it's it's inviting you to be present, and that is a very grounding thing. And in this sort of modern culture we're in, we're quite detached from that. So I try to do that. I do the walks. I'm not. It's winter here at the moment in the UK, so I'm not really doing the barefoot walks. So I was just sort of thinking earlier about all the things that I'm doing now that I'm not placing my bare feet on the ground outside. I mean, I never wear shoes if I'm indoors anyway, but I like an Epsom salt bath because it takes away the positive charge, and so that's alkalizing as well. I put crystals in my bath sometimes. What else do I do? I hug a tree occasionally. I'm growing palm trees, so I sort of hug them. I've got lots of plants in my house, so even just looking at plants, I think is quite, it's just inviting the nature back in. Normally I work, well, I haven't really in the last 3 years, but normally I work in Thailand or Goa, so I'm over there and we don't wear shoes over there. So just walking on the sand, being in the sea, walking along the sea barefoot, that's normally something I'd be doing a couple of times a year. And yeah, in terms of what happens when we are sort of barefoot on earth, let's say sort of for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or like Caroline says, gardening. I love doing a bit of gardening barefoot. Once we've got that contact, and it takes away the positive charge, our blood cells don't sort of stick together. So ideally, the membranes on our red blood cells would have a negative charge, so they would repel each other. and all be flowing around our circulatory system, sort of separated. So you've got big surface area, lots of oxygen, so more energy. But if we have acidic thoughts or acidic food or worry or, we haven't slept, or too many electromagnetic frequencies, or anything that's sort of acidic in our life, then that can change the membrane to a positive potential on the blood cells. So you've got positive and negative, and then they attract. So then you've got clotting. So it's a great way actually for your physiologically, for your circulatory system and for your heart to separate these blood cells so that we've got a nice flow of oxygen all around the body. So that's going to benefit every single organ. So yeah, we release the positive charge and recalibrate, and then we're going to have more energy, more oxygen, more vitality. So that's what I'm sort of thinking about, what I'm doing on a physiological level when I've got my feet sort of bare on the ground.
Okay, that's wonderful. Wow.
Yeah, that's great, Katie. Thank you for that. It reminds me of when you wear magnetic bracelets. They have the same effect in terms of separating out the red blood cells so that you can fully oxygenate, which is fantastic benefit of grounding. Now, for me, especially in summer, not so much in winter, but the two ways I like to ground, I either like dancing outside in moonlight, which is very strange, but it's one of my favourite things to do. I barefoot garden all year round if I can, even in winter when it's icy, I will still go out and barefoot, but it will just be for 5-10 minutes, not for hours and hours. I also like to go completely the other way and just lie on the ground for hours and hours in a woodland or in my garden, and I will just meditate and watch the sky, sun gaze, and just be out in it. And in summer, I live by the sea here, so I do a lot of paddle boarding and swimming in the sea, and I enjoy that for the salt water effect of grounding as well. It's partly for meditation, for connection to spirit, for getting spiritual energy flowing through, connecting to Mother Earth. And I find that in meditation, you can infuse your entire energy and send that around the earth in a sort of enveloped circle of love, if you like, to push your conscious knowledge through the entire planet so that other people are able to pick up on your energy fields in that way as we interact and work with Earth. That's sort of an important part of the spiritual work that we do while we're grounding. But as Katie says, there are lots of physiological benefits as well as mental ones for your health. It is calming, it's relaxing, it's stress-free. It allows you to have a breather from those thoughts running around in your head that chatter constantly, and try and bring that down to sort of a neutral point so that you can start to feel from your heart rather than being mind-centered all the time. And if the weather's bad, you can ground indoors as well by, as Katie says, looking at nature, being near plants. You can also hold crystals and work with crystal energy that will help you ground. Saltwater baths as well, and eating healthily. You're bringing in photonic energy from vegan foods, especially if they're whole food and not vegan processed supermarket food. I'm talking about actual whole fruits and vegetables. You can juice those or you can eat them raw, especially, and that's really good. That's a way of grounding to get those energies in. But all of these things are really to help with your spiritual aspects of self and to sort of bring you back to a point of neutrality, bring you back to a point of calm so that you can engage with the planet that you are in essence completely a part of. We're so separated these days, and we don't live in isolation from our circumstances and our surroundings. They're all part of who we are and what we create. So coming back to that point of neutral, coming back to that point of nature, and just getting out there and being one with Mother Earth is so important. It literally sustains life for us as people.
Yes, thank you. And especially at this moment, with the ascension, it's good to be grounded with Mother, Gaia, like you say. Yes. That's really important because we receive also the new energy that is coming. So that's good. And also, I forgot to mention the Tai Chi also is also a form of to help you ground it.
Yes.
Yes, the Tai Chi. Yeah. And I also found information that a question will be probably for Katie. They say that in yoga you have certain pose that help you grounding. I heard about mountain pose,
Mhm.
tree pose, and downward facing dog.
Okay, so mountain pose is pretty much standing with your feet grounded. So often we can lean to one side a bit, or we have a tendency to rotate onto the outside of our feet, or put one hip out. So mountain pose is literally both feet on the ground, and you can think of the heel, each side of the heel as being 1 point, 2 point, little toe, big toe, so 4 points of each foot on the ground, and really feeling into that. And then you sort of press down, and the more you press down, then the more like you root to rise. So you'll sort of grow through the crown of your head, and then literally standing there, maybe like the anatomical position where the palms are sort of forward and being still. And it's actually a lot harder than you might think, because you might want to sort of, you know, play with your hair or scratch your face or just sort of wiggle. But once you've sort of found your center, then it's just to stay there. So that's mountain pose, and it forms a sort of blueprint of most poses that come from that, most standing poses. And then tree pose is again rooting down to grow tall, just like a tree, but then standing on the 1 foot. So you'd need if you're sort of got the tendency to sort of not ground through the big toe, then you might then fall over and lean off. Or if you're not focusing, they call it a drishti, so you're focusing on one point that isn't moving in front of you, so that you can sort of keep that focus and stay standing on one leg. But if your mind starts going, then maybe you lose that point of focus, and then again you might fall out of the pose. So often people find it easier to do a balancing posture in the morning when there's less chatter in the head than later on in the evening. So yeah, that's quite interesting actually to sort of play with, as to when balancing poses are more challenging. And that's often when we filled ourselves during the day with so many things.
I always find taller in the morning. Sorry to interrupt, Katie, but I feel taller in the morning as well. When you talk about straightening up, is that part of that?
Possibly. Our discs in our spines, we've got 33 vertebrae, and in between each of our discs in between each of those vertebrae we've got discs which are fluid filled, and during the day they can kind of compress, and with our sort of poor posture and things like that, we actually get shorter during the day. And then when we're sort of lying down and sort of horizontal, our whole fascia system will just rehydrate, especially if we've had sort of some water before bed, or cucumber, or something that's quite hydrating. Then when we actually get up, we tend to be about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch taller in the morning. So it's like we've actually reset through our whole, from top to toe. So yeah, that's amazing you feel like that, but that is actually a fact. Most people do. And the one with the downward dog is, you are literally, it's the same principle. Your hands and your feet are on the ground, so you're pulling up you're pressing down into the earth with your hands and your feet, but as you press down, you're pulling up, so you're connecting with the earth, and then you're growing. And then the head is also below. I don't know whether I should demonstrate. I'm just sort of like this. I don't know whether you can see.
Yes, yeah.
Right. But because then your head is below your heart, it's also another form of grounding, because you're reversing the sort of, let's say, the circulatory system that you've got when you're vertical. So you flush the head with freshness really, and you create you just change the circuit round a little bit, and then everything's a little bit fresher. But that's grounding then with your hands. And like Caroline said, you know, it is really cold over here at the moment, and sometimes I just don't really want my feet on the ground, so I've been going out and putting my hands on the grass. And while my dog's out there, I'm just like, because I know, you know, our feet, yes, grounding, but any part is going to be good to connect with earth.
I think this is why we like tree hugging so much as well in winter. If you put your hands either side of a tree, literally around the trunk of the tree, and stand there for a few minutes, what you will find is the chakra vortexes in your hand will open, and they will actually merge with the tree, so your hands will pulse as that energy flows through you. And your electrical current going round from your own toroidal field also will connect to that of the tree, and that's a great way to earth yourself as well and ground. And I think in winter, as Katie said, it's so cold for the feet, it's preferable to do a lot of this with the hands. But trees will also give you wisdom and knowledge. Every tree of the same species is connected to the tree of the same species throughout the world. They quantum entangle instantaneously. So trees have a terrific amount of information and wisdom they can pass you in terms of knowledge as well. So it's great to also clear your mind while you're doing that. You can ask the tree a question, and you should get some spiritual guidance back as you're going through that process. As I say, that for me is the spiritual connection to grounding that we do.
Yeah. I never asked question to the tree, but guidance, I would say.
Yes,
But
yeah.
that's interesting. I will try that next time. And also because every time we talk about grounding, it's always, well, like we talk about is barefoot, but there is some people that they have a problem being on the let their feet be on the ground, because maybe the coldness, like at your place, is cold, and they have like arthritis, or you know, because I know some doctors say that you shouldn't be barefoot at home or anything. How can they ground it then? What do you guys suggest?
Bathing in Epsom salts is a good place to start. That's quite important. If you have arthritis, obviously, if you can possibly get your feet even in some salt water, if you can't fully bath, that will definitely help. Again, holding crystals. I've got crystal neck chains on here, but you can either wear crystals or even hold them in the palms of your hands. Again, your chakras will connect with that energy, and that's enough to ground you. If you want to spend some money, which I'm not suggesting you do for a second, but you can buy grounding sheets for your bed as well, which will actually earth you while you sleep. And for anyone who has a severe illness and wants a bit more help, that might be a way forward for them to research and look into that. Obviously, we've talked about eating vegan and healthy whole foods as well. When I say vegan, as I said, I don't mean processed foods. I mean whole, from the sun.
Yeah.
Are grown that way. So all of those things will help people ground if they are ill or they can't literally put their feet in the ground because it's too cold. But even if you've got boots on in winter and it's snow filled, if you stay off the concrete and try and walk on something that has grass underneath it, even if it's got snow and you've still got shoes on, that is still better for you than being on concrete or road. It all makes a difference.
Okay.
Yeah. I do. I watch my dog as well, because I live by the Downs, which is beautiful. It's I mean, it's just countryside. It's very, very close to me. But to get there, you know, we go through the path, and then there is then the path, but either side there's the verge, and he will automatically go to that verge, whether it's muddy or it's grass or it's a bit rocky.
Yeah.
He would just tend to get off the pavement, which is great. And then I do, and sometimes I take my shoes off, but we've obviously got to be a little bit mindful because, you know, we've got dogs going there. So, but then as soon as we get off piste, if you like, I try and kick my shoes off, and sometimes I wave them about so people can actually maybe start asking me questions why I'm doing that. But yeah, we do say a lot about these Epsom salt baths, and people can be put off. They're like, well, I've only got a shower, or, you know, maybe if someone's got a lot of arthritis, they can't get in and out of a bath easily. So it is just worth mentioning that the magnesium in the Epsom salts is absorbed mainly through your skin. So it really doesn't matter. As Caroline said, if you're just soaking your feet in like a sort of washing up bucket, as long as it's going through, so you could sit there in your nice, you know, in your sofa or a chair and just have sort of hot warm water. And we're not talking about a little sprinkle, we're talking about half a kilo to a kilo, you know, a good cup size to more of these Epsom salts, organic if possible. And you would want at least 10 minutes for the sort of grounding effect. I always, if I'm going to do it, especially because I'm putting quite a lot in, I want to get the maximum out of it. So I would do 20 minutes. And the first 10 minutes tends to recalibrate you on a sort of charge level. So you would get rid of the positive charge, and then you've got that negative charge again. So everything's sort of repelling in terms of blood, and you're equalized. And then the next 10 minutes tends to, with like, take out a lot of heavy metals from your system. So that's going to help as well. So with arthritis, we can get build-up of heavy metals within our joints or within our sort of eye cells or within our organs. So that's going to have a really beneficial effect on our energy and on our maybe even our memory and our sleep patterns, hormones. But so we don't need to have the bath. I just wanted to sort of bring that home again. It can, and even maybe that washing up bowl, you could chuck a load of earth in, and then bring that into the house, and then you're just putting your feet on earth, so that you're not then walking outside. You could just have some contact with earth. So we can be a bit creative.
Yeah, and soak your hands as well if you can't do your feet. If you put your hands in the same way as the feet, it will do the same thing through your hands.
Yeah, like gardening. If you if you do some gardening,
Actually, now you've mentioned that, copper is meant to be a really good way to help ground. And
that on.
So I've been hearing a lot about using copper for gardening to increase your the produce of all your, you know, fruit and veg, but you can also use a copper gardening tool. So I've got copper dowsing rods that I use sometimes to sort of connect with spirit or my source, but I am thinking about getting some copper, like a copper trowel, so that when I'm gardening and I'm on my hands and knees and I'm actually got copper in my hand connected with the earth. And I think that's another great way. Well, I've heard a lot of benefits. I've not tried it yet, but I've heard good things.
Okay.
I have copper in my garden. We call them, well, it's a Cornish name, Triskelias, but they're sort of 3 circular spirals, and they come off one copper rod, and you stick them in the ground. And I'm sure that's why my flowers grow so large and colourful, just because they're getting that energy coming through, and it affects them in their locality. I've also got crystals in my garden in the plant pot, so I think that helps as well. But the plants benefit from all these things just as much as we do. And I have a copper trowel, and I wear no gloves when I'm gardening, so I can touch the earth. That's really important as well. When you're out gardening, don't wear gardening gloves. Obviously, if you're allergic and you're touching tomato plants or something, then that's fine. But in order to get the benefit of touching nature and earth, it's important to actually physically engage with the earth itself, rather than through gloves if you can. But yeah, copper wire is great. It does help things grow because it creates little vortexes of energy, and that energy is energy that is connecting back through spirit, and it's bringing that sort of energy, if you like, back through. If you've got a closed system, you've got a 2 spiral, hence the 3 on the Triskelias, to bring back that connection to spirit as the Holy Trinity, if you like. But yeah, it does, it helps things grow.
Okay. a lot of idea that you guys gave us. So that's wonderful. And I think we talked about the benefits of grounding. I don't know if you guys want to add some other thing. I know that you sleep better. That for sure. You are more calm. You are more focused, and you are able to focus, concentrated. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot less stress, I think, for most people that have a full-time job or family life. Trying to get out in nature and take 5 minutes just to stand barefoot on the earth, look at the sun if you have it out, and just be thankful, take some deep breaths, and just feel that lovely energy flowing through you. If you've got 10-15 minutes, even better. But it is just a way to reconnect with your soul, to reconnect with who you are, to connect with nature, and just to be. You know, we are human beings, we're not human doings, so let's just take a moment to be. And grounding is a really important part of that. So many health benefits, and less stress is definitely one of them.
And we live at the moment, in the moment. That's really important too. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Katie, anything to add?
Well, I feel like we've covered quite a lot, and it's been really nice to hear what both of you have had to sort of offer as well. I mean, as Caroline just said, that just taking it down a notch from this sort of 3D, busy, doing. And sometimes meditation can be quite challenging to just get us into that bit. But if we were to ground outside, be in nature, smell a rose, listen to some frequency music, just take it down, that would help with the concentration along with the breath for any meditative practice that we might do. So we, you know, for instance, we could spend 5-10 minutes trying to get into a meditative state, or we could be outside for 5 minutes and ground and then come in and actually be in that state. So it could speed up the process of us coming back into our bodies and out of our minds. So just even drinking a glass of water as well can help as well. So yeah, lots of ideas really. Breathing is the biggie, because that's going to again connect us with us and alkalize our sort of body and our mind. And frequency music, we haven't really talked so much about that, but that can be a really good way, certain frequencies to help realign our system and our brain waves, to get us into a much sort of calmer, out of beta, out of the sort of bone, just to take it down. 432 hertz is a very good
healing
frequency, healing one.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. A lot of information today. I feel like so it's wonderful. So thank you very much, Caroline and Katie, for today. I'm sure the audience will really like all the information, and it's great because it's really three different with different idea that we have, the three of us. So that's really great. And thank you very much. And I see you next time.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Beverley.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Caroline.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.